I call the Honourable Minister Simon?
You better give me my last name, Mr. Speaker.
Bridget.
I know there's other Simons in the House, Mr. Speaker, but that was the most pregnant pause I've ever heard. That was something. What is it? Politeness is contagious, Mr. Speaker, and I thought you'd forgotten my name there. But enough about that. Look, it's great to follow Barbara Stewart, Mr. Speaker. She's a great woman. I know that if it was up to her, New Zealand First would be supporting National after the election, should they be in a position to. I know that she's been trying to see peace between Brendan Horan and Winston Peters, and she is disgusted by the nastiness going on between them right now. But, Mr. Speaker, you know, I know, as I say, she's a good person with a good heart who if she wasn't a Member of Parliament for New Zealand First, would be voting National. And what a great budget, Mr. Speaker, we have seen in the last few days. A budget where Bill English and the Prime Minister came to this House and laid it all out for New Zealanders. How well received, I agree with Scott Simpson, how well received that budget was, because we are now managing a growing economy after Rajan Prasad's party left us with a decade of deficits. We, through good stewardship day after day, are now back in black. And that means that we are able to put families at the heart of this budget, Mr. Speaker. All of the things that Rajan Prasad did in the Families Commission, all of those things pale in comparison with the way we are now, through responsible stewardship, able to show families a dividend of growth. And the contrast between the Right Honourable John Key and his speech to this House in reply to the budget and that of David Cunliffe and the Labour Party, boy, I tell you what. As you saw from David Cunliffe, a gentleman who wasn't sure whether to say, well, we're unhappy because you've stolen our 2 or 3 good ideas, or actually, this is terrible and not left-wing enough. He couldn't work out which was his position, and I understand that, because this is a budget for our times that New Zealanders are very, very happy with. They're glad to see us back in surplus and putting families at the heart. And, you know, I said he was unhappy because we've stolen their ideas. Well, actually, no, PPL, let's look at that. We have always said that, I'm not sure what Rajan Prasad is doing, I'll come back to him, that PPL is something that, when circumstances permit, we want to do something about, and now we are in a position to do that. But unlike the Labour Party, unlike the Green Party, it is a considered, responsible package that reaches more people who deserve it. Because, as I said in the bill on budget night, we've done the hard policy work to come up with that thoughtful package. Now, I know, in terms of stealing ideas, that now that Rajan Prasad and Darian Fenton are leaving this place, and maybe you as well, Mr. Speaker, I know, that the ideas factory of the Labour Party is gone. The ideas factory of the Labour Party is gone. Where are they going to get their big ideas? Look, they might have to go to Mr. Clark, Dr. Clark. His great idea was banning Facebook, and we know how popular that was. But, you know, that is the position. I will be sorry to see Darian Fenton go. I'll miss our little flirtations across the House at question time. I always send a guilty text to my wife afterwards telling her I love her. But there you have it. But then, of course, in that alternation that David Shearer had between not being sure about what to say, you stole our good ideas, versus that whole sort of looks terrible, not left-wing enough, we get the wacky press release from David Shearer today about home insulation. And, yeah, I don't know what others think. I have to contend with David Shearer's press releases from time to time. From his radio appearances after those press releases, I just wonder if he's read them. I just wonder if he's read them, because the radio appearances don't seem to bear any sort of resemblance to them. But on this one he says, the budget has confirmed that National has virtually abandoned its program of insulating cold and damp homes across New Zealand. Well, Mr. Shearer, I know it was a stressful time for you last year at budget, but we invested $100 million more in home insulations across this country over 3 years. And that means, Mr. Speaker, that we are now in a position where we have insulated over 250,000 homes, 112,000 to low income, and that means, Mr. Speaker, by the time we've finished the end of our Warm Up New Zealand Heat Smart, Warm Up New Zealand Healthy Homes program, we will have insulated some $447 million worth of taxpayers-funded homes, nearly 300,000 homes. And that's not good enough for Mr. Shearer. He thinks we should have done them all. Well, I just asked Dr. Clark, who's writing notes on this, to tell me how much a policy of doing every house, which seems to be what Mr. Shearer is saying, will cost this country. Because on this side of the house, we know that it's managing a growing economy responsibly that allows us to give the dividend back to families and to do the business for New Zealanders. This is a responsible government working for the people of New Zealand to deliver the things that we know they want. And wasn't it a great families package, Mr. Speaker? But, you know, fundamentally, when you think about the families package and the budget in total, what does it all sort of mean? Well, I say, actually, look at the contrast with Australia.
That's right.
If you want to know what a Labour, Greens, New Zealand government will look like, then look at the Australian budget. Look at the Australian. When Howard left office in 2007, no public debt. Leave it to the Labour Greens, and what a legacy they left Tony Abbott and Mr. Hockey to deal with. And that's the kind of David Shearer thinking we've had on home insulation today. Don't worry about the money, just promise to do them all. Don't worry about the balancing the books, say you'll do it, and worry about the money otherwise. But at another time. But we, Mr. Speaker, on this House, through our responsible management, have been able to deliver for families. I am really proud to be part of a team that has, through good management, invested more in families. And really that families are the first to get the dividends and the benefits from this growing economy that we're managing is something of a real pleasure. PPL is something I've had an involvement in, and to see us spending $172 million on that, I think is fantastic for New Zealanders. More and more, Mr. Speaker, more entitlement. We are moving in 2 affordable steps from 14 to 18 weeks, and more eligibility, so that we're widening it so caregivers other than parents, some 600 families more, will receive on that criteria, and people in less regular work will also, 800 families I should say, receive more. Not to mention having done the policy work that member over there never did on flexibility of the PPL scheme, so that women primarily get the real benefits of going back to work, attachment to work, and so on. And just extending the length of PPL the way the Labour Party would want to do, well, frankly, that's lazy, Mr. Speaker, because it exacerbates the disparities. And actually, we've seen from academics in pre-budget commentary that more important than the length of entitlement is the targeting. And that's what we're doing. We are effecting a more modern and diverse set of family arrangements and workplace arrangements. They don't like it, Mr. Speaker, because it's true. And I just, you know, I know you're about to wind me up. I just want to say, in fairness to the members opposite who are retiring, and 1 or 2 of them who should be retiring, not looking at anyone in particular, Ruth Dyson, they were the brains factory of the Labour Party. And as they leave, I don't know who's going to do their thing, but on this side we've done it on PPL. We are seeing caregivers other than parents going to get PPL, grandparents who are working and meet the criteria, and so on and so forth. People in less regular work getting it, and the increased flexibility. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a party responsibly managing the finances of this country as they grow and putting families first, and we should all be proud of that and celebrate that as a country.
Just before I call the next member, can I just remind members to have a look at Speaker's Rulings 60/5. Interjections are out of order unless rare, reasonable, relevant and restrained, and if at all possible, witty. And running commentaries are definitely out of order, and members must wait their opportunity to make a speech. That's from Speaker Stratham and Barnard, 1923 and 1936. I call the honourable member Dr. David Clark.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the topic